call it H&H Awakening, because an awakening is to become aware or to understand something. What's going on, all you outdoor enthusiasts? Today we're back with another podcast episode. I believe this is number 5.
Yeah.
We have our face cams on, trying it out, testing out a few new things. But anyways, like always, I'm Hunter.
And I'm Hunter.
And this is the H&H Awakening podcast, coming back to you with number 5, talking about all new outdoor things, how to get into being an outdoor enthusiast. Basically what it takes to hunt, fish, whatever. Everything new with basically if you're sitting at home and you're thinking, man, tired of sitting here watching TV every day, I'm tired of the kids, I'm tired of the wife, the girlfriend, whatever, and you decided today's the day that you want to go outside and enjoy the outdoors as much as we do, and many other people do, this is the episode to listen to. And go ahead and let us know too. Testing out some new stuff, testing out the cameras. Let us know how those look. And let me know how the new mic sounds. May not be much different, but I know it eliminates a little more background noise. We've noticed some humming and everything in the other room. So, yeah, this is me. I know y'all got to see us in the
SHOT Show
episode.
Yeah, SHOT Show episode.
Yeah, SHOT Show episode, which is doing amazing. Thank y'all for supporting us. But yeah, this is a little more up close and personal. I'm Hunter, and that's Hunter, of course, like we said before. So now y'all get to see us a little more up close and personal. Check out our beautiful faces. So let's jump right into it. I mean, obviously, with the camo, that's a dead giveaway of a hunter. We're gonna kind of just get into everything that it takes. Not saying that we are the best there is or we know everything about hunting, but just kind of talk about what we feel is required to get into either hunting, fishing, camping, whatever outdoors. I know we've been kind of on the gun train here the last few episodes, and which I'm gonna go ahead and admit to you now. Good majority of our episodes do cater to shooting guns or something, but we want to kind of give y'all some different content this episode. So starting out, I guess, talking about what equipment is needed, I believe, when it comes to hunting. Because, when it comes to hunting, not everything's about the gun. It's not about, you definitely want to make sure you're shooting correctly. You know that you can hit the target you need to, put time in at the range. But once you get that point down to where you can shoot and you can hit where you need to, then you got to think, okay, well, what comes next? Because I can go out there and shoot an animal all day, but if I don't know how to field dress it, or as we like to say in Texas and some other places, gut it. We don't use the proper field dressing term. Nothing wrong with that term, but we just say, hey, Dad, I shot me a deer, I'm going to go gut it. So there's more to it than just going out there and harvesting an animal. There's the process of getting out there, first of all, setting up your stand, feeder, whatever, stalking,
clothing,
gutting the animal. Yeah, the clothing you're wearing. How are you going to preserve that meat? Because I don't know how many this, majority of you probably should. Meat doesn't last long, especially when it's warm. You sit there and you kill an animal, you gut it, and then you think you can go the rest of the day hunting, just leaving the animal in the field till you're ready to go home. News for you can't. So kind of just going over all that.
It depends where you are. If it's cold enough outside, you can probably get away with it. But usually if it's cold enough outside, there's something else probably hunting after what you just shot. So, and it's not human. It's like a bear or coyote or a wolf or something. So
yeah, and if you're hunting in Texas, you definitely can't leave it out very long with our
coyotes
weather,
and pigs and the heat.
Because it may be 20 degrees when you first start hunting in the morning, but by the time the evening rolls around, it may be in the 70s. Just because how Texas loves to change its mind. They always say Texas changes its mind about the weather like I change my underwear. Usually at least
3 times a
once
day.
No, I was gonna say once every other day, something like that. No, I'm just kidding. I got hygiene, but anyways, yeah. So let's get into that. So as far as the hunting aspect, we're gonna we'll kind of get into hunting and camping and everything. For instance, me and my dad, we just got back from another, I guess you'd call it hunting trip. We went out to the lease and took down a pig and a coyote. But what's more important than just going out there and shooting it is knowing what we need to be prepared. So, of course, when we start our trips going out to the lease, well, first of all, I guess I should start with is find you somewhere to hunt, whether it's public land, which I haven't done much public land hunting.
There's not a whole lot in Texas to begin with.
Yeah, Texas isn't really a big area to public hunt.
There are areas. There are areas,
but most people are on leases or high fences and day hunts.
And the public land can be very pressured, sketchy.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, a buddy of mine, Cole, who we've talked about before, I think he said he's been on public land before, and he said it was very, very different, very overcrowded. He said you just be walking in the woods and there's like 3 other dudes off to your right, and kind of get more into that in a little bit. But yeah, first of all, you need to acquire land to hunt on. There's numerous ways you can do that. Used to, growing up, the way we did it is word of mouth. You know, grandpa knew a guy from the feed store or met some dude in town. He said, hey, you interested in hunting? Because he saw that he looked like a hunter. So you can either go about getting land by either word of mouth. You just happen to talk to someone, maybe at church or wherever you go. Someone says, hey, got some land out here, need you to come out there and hunt some coyotes or hogs. Or the guy may approach you at a gun store and say, hey, are you looking to get into deer hunting? Or are you looking for a place to deer hunt? There's one way. Second way, now in the great year of 2023, you know, we have these things, they call them smartphones. They give you the ability to do this thing. You go online and there's different websites. You can go on like certain forums. Like I'm trying to think, Texas, I'm trying to think of what the predator hunting forum my dad's on still. But anyways, there's forums. You can just literally Google, you know, leases near me or Texas hunting forums or wherever you're located. And you can find forums. There's usually guys who will post on there. The only thing with going online, I would say looking for hunting land, is you're going to find
to be a little more expensive.
Yeah, a little more expensive because one, it's online, so obviously they know they're going to be able to reach more people. So they're not going to have the trouble of finding someone to lease the land to versus a guy who's just relying on meeting someone in the store. But yeah, you can go online, look up hunting lands. You can either do year leases like we do. So we pay a set amount per year, sign a contract. You got to sign a lease contract. I can't remember what it's called. But basically, it's a lease agreement between you and the owner that he's acknowledging, you know, here's his set of rules. So he may say, you can bring a family member with you. You can't. You can have X amount of people on here, whatever. Just basically a contract, be a paper you fill out, and that'll be a way between you and the landowner to have an agreement for the hunting land and the right to hunt on there. So once you find somewhere that you can lease, either be a year or day lease or monthly lease, however you figure it out. You find somewhere you want to go hunt, then you got to start preparing your gear. So like when we go hunting, we start hunting, there's generally a few things we bring with us. We have our rifle, ammunition, which goes back to spend your time at the range. If you're spending time at the range, hopefully you don't need, you know, a whole box of ammo to do the job on a deer or hog or whatever.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Well, but a pig maybe, but on a deer, no. The couple times I've gone deer hunting, I haven't shot anything, but I'm confident in my skills that I can probably drop just about any animal that I see.
Well, if you shoot an animal like the way I seen you shoot on target, you'd be fine.
Yeah, and but that's like what you just said. You gotta practice at the range. So
yeah, putting in the range time. But yeah, so I lost my train of thought. Where was that? Oh, so spend your range time. Make sure you're hitting where you need to, and therefore you won't need a whole box of ammo. So I usually take what's in the clip. So like my
magazine.
My rifle, well, I know that, but that's not what I was gonna say.
It's called the magazine.
I know. My deer rifle that I have I usually take it, and the magazine that it's got on it, the 6.5 Creedmoor I have right now holds 3, and then 1 in the chamber. But anyways, usually that's all I take, and I may take a few extra bullets and put them in my bag. Which then brings the next thing is a bag. You don't have to have a bag. Some guys don't. I personally believe you should have a pack. Like I have a small backpack about 8. It's about what is it? It's about maybe 1.5 feet long as far as length. I don't know the full dimensions of the backpack, but have you some sort of small pack that you can carry. 1, ammo, just a couple extra rounds just in case. You never know if you have a dud or whatever, what have you. 2, binoculars or some sort of sight glass. I mean, I know typically you have the scope on your rifle if you're hunting with a rifle or whatever you're having. Some sort of device to be able to scan, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Is binoculars, what have you. Something that you can see at a distance. You can verify your target. Make sure it's not a cow or any other animal that you're shooting at, because that's one of the most important parts about hunting is verifying your target. You don't want to shoot something that's 1, illegal, or 2, the wrong animal. Just make sure you're doing the right job. Third thing, not a necessity, but something I recommend very highly is a rangefinder. Because 1, unless you spend time, like for instance, I have a background in archery, and in one of the classes it was unknown, so you had to judge your yardage. You can get good at judging your yardage, but still I recommend bringing a rangefinder, because a rangefinder allows you to verify your yardage. So if you're shooting with the bow, gun, whatever, you know where to aim or how to adjust your scope depending on how you got your turret set up. So we got ammo, backpack, and inside that backpack you're going to have your ammo, you're going to have your binoculars, rangefinder, and then I would say next would be snacks. I usually carry the trying to remember who makes them. The peanut butter crackers.
Oh, everyone makes them. Pepperidge Farms, Lance.
Yeah, some sort of snack, because
beef jerky's a good one.
Yeah, something that 1 is not going to spoil. You can keep it in your backpack. You don't have to worry about it going bad while you're out there at the stand. Some people bring lunch boxes and stuff. I just recommend some kind of dry preserved food, such as crackers, beef jerky, something basically because you're going to get hungry out there. You're not going out there for 30 minutes. I mean, you might have a lease where you can go out there and kill something as soon as you walk out there. But bring some sort of snack, and then bring water to stay hydrated. You can bring whatever you want to drink out there. I recommend water to stay hydrated. That's Gatorade. That's the thing. Yeah, Gatorade. That's the thing a lot of people don't think about is going out hunting. You think, I'll take my gun out there, whatever, blah, blah. But you're going to get hungry. You're going to get thirsty. You're going to need somewhere to pee. Hence, the bottle when you finish.
You might need to go number 2, so bring some toilet paper.
Yes, that's actually one thing I don't ever bring with me, and I always need. Generally, I don't have to poop if I'm in the stand, but there has been a few times that, yeah. Anyways.
You have to use a sock.
I actually, okay, quick pause on the to-do list, a little short story. I was at the deer stand this year. First time I've ever actually had to poop while I was in the stand. Anyways, went and did my business, and I ended up leaving with a crop top because I cut my shirt in half and used that. So there's that. Great. Be resourceful. If you're someone who has to use the restroom a lot, you might want to bring you an extra shirt if you don't have toilet paper.
But also that also brings another thing too. Bring snacks that won't upset your stomach. So like if you're lactose intolerant, don't buy like those Jack Links, the beef jerky sticks with the cheese stick. Just get regular beef jerky. You're gonna be fine. I promise.
Yeah. So bring your snacks, and then next is going to be your skinning knife. Now, you can harvest an animal and take it to a processing place, and they can gut it for you. There are places that'll do that for you. But in my opinion, if you're out there doing this, you're out there hunting, which I understand not everybody has the capability of doing it, and that's fine. But if you're someone new, young, getting into it, sorry, my nose is itching. Someone new, getting into hunting, learn how to skin. You can look up videos on how to process it, or you can go to your processing place, get them to teach you, or have maybe a family member knows how to. But learn how to gut the animal yourself. I believe it kind of brings you into the outdoors a little more too. Because it kind of like makes you respect the animal a little more too as you're doing the process. But
and you feel more like a man when you do it. So
yeah, I mean, there's women who hunt too,
or woman. You feel accomplished at something.
Yeah, it's an experience. I'll put it that way. So, bring you some sort of skinning knife. You can get, I mean, any knife will do, but they are knives that they call skinning knives. I generally don't know if I have mine with me. But typically when I go for skinning knife, I have a fixed blade. You don't want a locking blade, and by that I mean like, so your typical pocket knife. This would be a locking blade. It folds up and then it locks. But when you're skinning, you don't want that lock to accidentally slip, and then you end up cutting your finger,
which is a issue. So
yeah. So go with a fixed blade knife. Typically, I like one that's got like a little bit more of a bigger curve to it, which we can, let's see. Like, for instance, you go to Cabela's, and you can, they have skinning knife sets. The ones with the little gut hooks are perfect. You can get in there, and that allows you to break the hide a little easier, depending on the animal. But let's see.
Is it the one like the replaceable blades? Is that the one you're thinking of? Have you seen those?
Yeah, Cole likes those. I've never used them only because I've heard a lot of problems with them. But he swears by them.
I've heard good things about them because it's like a.
No, I'm not saying they're bad. I've never.
It's like a surgery scalpel. It's what the people that I know that have used them. That's what they say it is. It's just scalpel. So.
Yeah. So let's see if I can share my screen. Okay, so as you can see here, is it shown on the?
Yeah.
On the recording?
Yeah.
Can you see it on your screen?
Yeah, I can see it on my screen. Yeah.
Okay, so as you can see here, there's like different types of sets. This one's got the nice little gut hook, and then I like the big round blade on there. But why is it? Let's just do it like this.
You just want a really sharp knife.
Yeah, really sharp knife. But they're typically I like a. So something like this is just perfect, especially for getting into it. I don't have one like this, but this is just for. You'll eventually figure out what kind of blade you like using, but this is something I'd recommend for someone who's just starting to get into it, needs something. They don't necessarily know what they want to use for skinning. This is good. It's got your gut hook on it. It's got the nice big rounded blade for getting in there. But the main thing is having a sharp blade.
Did you realize what website you were on?
No, I didn't. What was it? Huh?
Scheels.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
If you watch the last episode or listen to the last episode, you'll understand what that
yeah,
means.
Scheels is one of the websites Hunter recommended. But get you a good skinning knife. Have that in your pack. Learn how to skin. We may have something in the future talking about that, but have that so you can gut and field dress, to be technical, field dress the animal, which I recommend. Depending on your area, it all depends on how humid, how hot, how cold, whatever. But depending on your area, you definitely want to do it pretty quickly after the animal expires, because vultures get after it. My dad actually had a deer this year. We got there luckily in time, but the vultures had landed on it and they plucked their eyeballs out. But we got there before anything else happened. Yeah, vultures are pretty crazy. But have a skinning knife, and then the next thing in your pack, I would say, is a drag of some sort. You don't have to have it if you can get in there with the vehicle, but there's going to be situations where you can't get in there to retrieve the animal with the vehicle. You have to drag it out certain spots. You can grab it the old-fashioned way, just grab it by legs or whatever. But my dad, he actually made it. He just took like a wooden dowel or like a little handle, and then ran some paracord through there. Something to help you drag the animal out, especially if you're by yourself. That's another thing I'd recommend. And then gloves if you want. But the main things I would say to carry when you go hunting is a backpack, skinning knife, binoculars, rangefinder, and little ammo, drinks, and snacks. Yeah. But it also depends on what you're hunting. This is my typical whitetail or hog hunting experience. Different areas. It's all about do your research. That's the main thing, is before you go hunting, know where you're going, what you're getting yourself into, and what kind of animal you're going after. Because bigger animals you may need bigger backpacks to pack it out. Like for instance, elk hunting, you're gonna need to be able to pretty much quarter up that animal and pack out the meat and take it with you.
Yeah, because there's no getting like a 1,200-pound elk off the side of a mountain in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So
do that, which will then also go with having a cooler. Have a cooler with ice or some sort of thing to control the temperature of your meat when you've put it in there. Usually, if we field dress it, after we get done field dressing it, we'll split it open. We'll shove some ice bags inside the animal to keep it cold until we get it home to quarter it. Mm-hmm. But that would be my next thing. So now we've walked y'all through partially what's required to hunt and what's required to get there. And then
I think we should talk about some optional things that you could take with you.
Yeah. So oh, number one thing I forgot. Sorry. Very, very important. Number one thing you need when hunting is a hunting license. Every state, I'm pretty sure, requires some sort of hunting license. Even if you're hunting hogs, which are a nuisance animal, you still require...
And coyotes, too.
Yeah, and coyotes. You still require a hunting license. You're not going to be tagging coyotes and hogs, at least in the state of Texas. But you still need a hunting license to show that you've taken your hunter safety, or you at least understand the safety and risk of hunting.
And especially the laws, too.
Yeah, and the laws.
Because like, whenever you get into deer hunting... There's a lot of laws in regards, and it's county to county too. It's not just
each county is different.
Like for example, kind of near where I am, there's quite a lot of mule deer, but there's only a 2-week season in the 2 counties that I hunt in. Mm-hmm. But then right north of it, there's a 3-week season, in the county right above it. So
that's kind of like where we hunt. We don't have our what's it called? Just blanked out. But anyways, MLD tag. We don't have an MLD tag at the place right now. So therefore, after New Year's Day, in our county we can no longer kill a doe unless you use a muzzle loader, which is a type of firearm we'll get into in a later podcast. But each county is different too. That's another important thing. Basically, what it all boils down to is the biggest thing before you start hunting is do your research, understand your county laws, understand what you're going to need in that area.
And every time you get a hunting license, you'll get the I don't remember exactly what it's called. It's like the Wildlife and Fisheries.
It's the Texas Park and Wildlife Handbook.
Yeah, that's what it is. And it has every single law, the restrictions in each county. So, what are you laughing at?
No, I caught myself looking in the camera and I winked at it. But yeah, so that's very important. As far as clothing, so say if you're hunting on public land, you have to have so many inches of orange on you. I'll have to look that up to be more specific on it. But if you're hunting at a day lease or a year lease or whatever, a deer lease in general, you don't have to have the orange. You don't have to wear camo. I know. I wear camo personally.
A lot of people don't wear camo.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. One of my buddies, he wears blue jeans and a t-shirt, but you're in a deer stand, which is another thing is if you're hunting out of a deer stand, if that's the way you choose, you're covered anyways. You don't really need camo. I'd say at the least you need something to cover your face, break up the white in your face through the window. All has to boil down again. I'm going to repeat myself multiple times. Do your research, know your area. I prefer stalking most of the time. I do majority of my hunting in a stand, but when the chance arises, I do like to stalk or at least set up somewhere out in the field, especially when I'm coyote hunting. But camo is definitely an option. It's not going to hurt if you cover yourself head to toe in camo. But if you're hunting out of a stand, you can just wear basically what we're wearing now. I do recommend some sort of face coverage. If you're hunting out of a blind, same thing. But, in my opinion, if you're hunting, screw it. Go all out and just fully engulf yourself in the lifestyle and camo out. I mean, deck yourself out. To me, it makes it more fun. You feel kind of badass when you're out there with the full mask on, camo, everything. You know, if you want to wear a ghillie suit, whatever. I mean, it defeats the purpose of a ghillie suit if you're in the stand. But
also but just because we say go all out doesn't mean go and buy Sitka.
Yeah, you don't have to buy Sitka.
Yeah.
When I say go out, I mean if you want to wear camo head to toe, do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
It's nothing against Sitka. They're just extremely expensive but it's a very specific market that they're kind of going for. So
yeah. I mean, they make nice stuff. It is a little more. I mean, a lot of my camos are stuff my grandpa's given me, which is I just like it because it's kind of cool that he gave it to me, and then also it has like the old camo pattern, like this hat.
Mm-hmm. And you just go to Academy or Cabela's and just look, or Bass Pro
you can
Shop,
get majority of your hunting equipment at the outdoor stores. So that's another thing too, is you can go to your outdoor stores, Academy.
It depends on the season. Like if it is hunting season, they'll have a lot of camo.
Well, what I was going to say is if you don't know what you're doing or don't know what you're getting into and you don't have anyone to ask, and you listen to us, I mean, we're not giving all the information. There's still a lot more information out there we don't even talk about. But I was going to say you could go to an outdoor store such as Academy, Cabela's, Atwoods, Shields, wherever that they sell hunting camos. Talk to someone in the outdoor section. You know, be mindful that some of them, every person's different. Some of them may just be trying to upsell you on stuff. They may take you straight to Sitka gear. But explain to them, hey, I'm getting into hunting. Don't really know what I'm looking for. I need some gear, simple gear, just to get the job done. I need, something to skin with, all that,
and then
camos, and they'll kind of help point you in the direction.
And then it also depends on the kind of hunting you're doing too. So we were talking a lot about deer hunting, but for like duck hunting, you're gonna have different equipment than deer hunting. Like that's kind of my experience is a lot of duck hunting and a lot of dove hunting. Like you need calls. You need like the little lanyard to hold all your calls so you don't drop them in the water. That's a fun time trying to explain that to somebody. Like, hey, we kind of got to go home now.
Yeah, my duck call sounds like it's being water or what's it called? Waterboarded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waterboarded. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you also need. It depends where you're hunting. So the way that I've always duck hunted, it's kind of redneckery. I don't wear waders. We just shoot off like a bank, and then we always carry like a fishing rod with us with a topwater bait, and we just fling it over to the to the duck and reel it in. It works. So that's just the way we've done it.
You could use Olive to retrieve your ducks for you.
Oh, she'd be perfect at it. Yeah. Olive is my dog. For those, or not my dog. It's my parents' dog. And
she's a freaking ankle biter from hell. I'll tell you that. At least to me.
No, she does. She does it to me too.
Yeah, every time I come to that house, I'm just biting on my ankles.
Yeah, and then
but
she goes for shoelaces. If you don't have shoelaces like boots, she'll go for your jeans. So
yeah.
But for ducks, because their eyesight's a little bit better than deer, you kind of you do have to kind of camo all the way up.
Yeah.
And then like having the face guard. Do what?
I was gonna say like we were saying before. There's every situation's different. Like duck hunting, coyote hunting, everything.
Yeah, and then for like dove, you can honestly walk out in a pair of sweatpants and a camo shirt and be good.
Yeah. I mean, they're a little smarter.
It depends.
It depends too on how hunted that area is. I mean, if they're used to flying over people walking through a field all the time, they're probably not gonna pay attention to you as much. But if you're going out somewhere that's not hunted as much, they're gonna be catching any kind of movement.
Yeah. And then
so like
one thing I would recommend too for like dove season and stuff. It's mostly towards dove. It's not really towards deer unless you're stalking a little bit more. But it's going to be sunscreen. You don't want to get melanoma or any of that kind of stuff. It's not a fun time for anybody. And so, and then for like just bird hunting in general, I have like a belt that I wear for dove season where I can hold like my shells and stuff in the sides, which is really nice. So, because you're only limited to 3 rounds. two in the tube, one in the chamber. So you do have to carry extra ammunition with you.
Yeah, definitely when you're bird hunting in general, you definitely want to take extra because you're gonna
miss. You're
gonna miss. Yeah.
So especially dove, because they can turn on a dime. At least Rive Hunter, they can turn on a dime pretty quick. So
yeah,
but that's kind of the gist of I guess hunting.
So like what I'm into right now is coyote hunting. I mean, that's kind of right now. It's kind of the like season. Not really a season for it, but this is where a lot of the coyote hunting is popping up. And coyote hunting, you're definitely not going to be hunting in the stand. You're going to be out in the field, calling, getting ready. So if you're wanting to simply just start out with coyote hunting, you know, you have some land, your parents have land, or your neighbor has land or whatever. You have somewhere you can go out and coyote hunt at least. Because that's probably one of the easier, I'd say, hunting activities, outdoor activities to get into is coyote hunting. The basic things you're gonna need for that is some sort of call, whether it's mouth call, electric call. I mean, you can use a Bluetooth speaker with your phone, just play a call, whatever. That's all right. But me and my dad, we use the Ecotech. It's ICOTEC, I believe, electronic call. So you'll need a call if you're hunting during the day. You don't need lights, but at night you need lights, thermal, night vision, some sort of way to identify the animal at night.
Especially at night.
Yeah, if you're starting to get into hunting, I wouldn't start out night hunting. I'd start out doing a lot of day hunting first, so you know what you're doing.
Unless you go with somebody that absolutely knows like what they're doing, and you trust
it's not as simple as just going out at night and shining a flashlight through the field at a coyote.
Which in some counties it is illegal to spotlight like that.
Well, not coyotes.
No, no. If you're like driving.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're not telling you to drive down the road and shine a light out your window.
Definitely don't do that.
Yeah, definitely don't do that. Yeah, but when it comes to coyote hunting, the simple things you need, like for instance, me and my dad actually just went coyote hunting 2 days ago. What we take is we have a little battery. I think it's 12-volt battery. I want to say, anyways, we have a battery. We have a light rigged up to it, so you need a light if at night. But if you're starting out, all you need is a call, your rifle. I'd say good camouflage that matches the pattern where you're hunting at, and then just knowing your area. For instance, where we hunt, we know the area pretty well. What was that?
The cat.
Oh, so where we're hunting, we know the area pretty well. I'd say go out there, know your area. Some guys say they go out like the morning of, and they'll like do some location calls, which is like a coyote howl call. They'll kind of locate them, and they'll come back in the evening. But basically what we do is we go out there, set up the call. During the day, you're going to want the call farther away from you because they're going to be looking for that sound. And if that call's right in front of you and they look for that source of the sound and they see you right there, they're not going to want to come out. But have your call, set it up, have your rifle, some sort of tripod typically because you're going to be on the ground. I use the bog stick. We've talked about those in previous episodes. And then your camos and your pack, as I described before. You're not going to be field dressing a coyote. Typically, coyotes usually aren't really good to eat. They're more of a nuisance animal to like. The main reason we coyote hunt at our deer lease is, one, they run off our deer a lot last season, and two, they will kill a deer. They will kill
does
other animals. Yeah, that especially fawns and everything. They're just mean son of a guns. They look like a dog, but they ain't. They don't act like your domestic dog.
And they don't sound like a dog either. So if you hear
they can sound like a dog when they bark. If they do like their little it kind of throws you off. But
like their howl, it'll sound like I don't know a good way of saying what their howl sounds like, but it sounds like it sounds like a baby crying in the woods.
Yeah, if you've never heard a coyote howl before, YouTube it. YouTube's your best friend in a lot of this stuff. As far as like tutorials, full-fledged tutorials and everything, but there's that. So as far as, I feel like that's pretty good as far as how to kind of get into hunting stuff, finding all that kind of thing, doing your research, when it comes into just getting in the outdoors in general, I'd say the best way to get in the outdoors is, I mean, just simply start by walking out your front door and start walking, start taking hikes, which is another thing that kind of goes with hunting, fishing, whatever it is, outdoor activities, conditioning yourself, getting used to being out in the sun all day, getting used to walking around, because it does take stamina, whether you're hunting, fishing, whatever. I mean, you're standing on that boat all day, or you're walking pier to pier, or you're hiking in the woods, camping. Because if you just try to jump out of your seat, you haven't really been in the outdoors that much or spend that much time. You just try to jump out of your chair and go start hiking tomorrow. It's gonna suck. You're gonna get winded. You're gonna
and then you're gonna
realize
hate it. You're not gonna want to do it anymore.
Condition yourself. I'm not saying you have to go on a full-fledged workout, diet, plan, everything. But do some sort of conditioning. But it will help.
It does help a lot. So
yeah, it does help.
Especially
which it's always good to stay active, especially for your.
And then dieting, like especially when it comes down to like camping. So with my job, I was in Colorado last year. We went like on like a camping trip for a couple days, for like 4 days.
Band camp.
Band camp,
or one time at band camp,
but. We went to like, I don't remember, it was near Estes State Park in Colorado. I think it's Estes State Park. But we were hiking and all this other kind of stuff, and I was dog tired by the end of the hike. Like it was like a 3-mile hike, and we were doing it for like 4 hours. Like it sucked, like going through everything. But one thing that I found myself, because like I was used to like sitting at a desk and kind of not eating as much throughout the day because I'm not burning as many calories, was like I was starving. Like we brought like hamburgers and hot dogs. I probably had 4 hamburgers that night. It was a lot. So, but yeah, the one thing that I wish I would have done before this hike, like I knew about it for like 2 months, is like actually conditioning myself, getting ready for it. But and then dieting too, kind of restricting your diet, because especially if you go like on an actual good backpack, like you're gonna get like those frozen dried or freeze dried meals like in like a bag.
Yeah, I like those freeze dried apples and stuff. Those are pretty good.
They're really good, but they're insanely expensive. So like you don't want to buy a lot of them, and it's also weight that you're gonna be carrying in.
PB&J's,
really trail mix. I know some people don't like raisins or whatever. Actually, raisins are the best part of the trail mix, in my opinion.
Yes, I actually pick out the raisins and throw the rest away.
But it's good. It's because they have a lot of nutrients that the other shit in the trail mix doesn't have, right? Like it has antioxidants. It's got other nutrients, a lot of sugar in it, and then another thing too is hydration.
Yes, and the biggest thing too that, I mean, if you athlete or someone who's
somewhat
conditioned, you understand that when we say hydrate, we're not talking about the morning of start drinking water.
Like this is like 2 weeks out. Start getting your body ready, because
your body uses the water you drank the day before.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's
so you want to make sure you're hydrating a good bit before.
And then another thing too is like, our bodies are supposed to be drinking, or like it's healthy for us to drink at least a gallon a day. I think for women it's like 3/4 of a gallon a day. You basically you don't want to start doing that 3 days before, because your body's basically going to reject it and you're going to pee it all out.
Yeah.
So you need to get your body used to having that much water in it, and don't drink half a gallon in one sitting. Drink like half a bottle every 30 minutes or so.
Get one of those. I mean, if you want, I think they're great. They're kind of silly, but how women are like,
I know the motivational jugs.
It has like tick marks certain times a day you're supposed to drink.
So my friend made one. He did it like the cheap college kid way, and he just got like a regular gallon jug and just put marks on it. He's like, you're a pussy, keep going, fucker, shit like that. And then and at the very end is like, go grab a beer. So but it sounds
silly, but it works.
Yeah.
It whatever you have to do to motivate yourself, Stay hydrated.
and
That's the biggest key. Is you don't
there's-
want to be out hiking or wherever and get
There's also
dehydrated.
trackers on your phone, all this other kind of stuff that you can use. So
Be prepared. That's the biggest thing about when you're starting to go out in the outdoors, preparedness.
yeah.
If you go out there unprepared, it's going to be
but also
a very terrible time.
learn on your mistakes too. So like, if you go on like a hunt and you're like, well, I didn't really use, this item the entire hunt. Bring it out one more hunt, see if you use it again. If you don't, then don't bring it. Like for example, like a rangefinder. I'd recommend using a rangefinder if you're starting out, but once you become more experienced and like especially if you're like on the same lease for a couple seasons, you don't really need it. What? Wait, what do you? I know you don't use one. You're like 200 yards, got it. So
Well, yeah. Definitely once you like, if you're hunting the same spot at the lease, over time you'll have your spot. Like typically when I set up a stand, I scan a tree or some sort of something I know it's going to be there a good while, and I can easily mark it so I don't have to sit there and range when an animal comes off. But
basically learn on your mistakes. So
yeah,
that's kind of what I'm getting at.
like if you go to the stand and you have to take a shit and you don't have toilet paper and you end up making a crop top out of your shirt, next time bring toilet paper.
Or don't eat that greasy burrito from Laredo Taco Company on your way out to the lease.
Yeah, don't eat 2 patty melts the night before and let it sit overnight.
Oh yeah, that you're gonna have a really, really, really rough time.
God, dude, a patty melt sounds good. For those of you who don't know that aren't from Texas, one of the best places ever is Whataburger, and they got a patty melt there. That's, whew.
Ooh, 2 patties, sautéed onions, some of their special sauce on it.
Large Coke or Dr. Pepper with some Whataburger ketchup.
Ooh.
We just turned this into a Whataburger commercial. But yeah,
so
staying hydrated, being prepared for hiking. You can get maps. There, like if you're going on a public trail at a national park or a state park, there's always going to be maps. Map it out. Start out small too. That's another thing. Is
like just hike in your park. Like you don't have to
walking around the neighborhood. Go walk around the park.
You don't
have to do a 4 mile hike.
Yeah, and you don't have to go to Mount Everest on your first adventure.
Yeah, that's
yeah. Like just start small. So
start small. If you start out big and you bite off more than you can chew, it's going to make it a very non-enjoyable experience.
Yep.
You want to start out small, like with anything, even if it's not something outdoors. Start out small so you can enjoy it. You jumping off in the deep end typically always ends in a bad experience with most things. But yeah, start out small. Take a little hike. Like for instance, the area I'm around, we have numerous parks. Texas has a lot of parks, but do your research. Find a park you want to go hike, spend the day, go out with someone, go by yourself, whatever makes the experience good for you, and just start that. I mean, even if you're wanting to get into hunting, but you got to take some time to save up or you're figuring everything out, just start by at least going hiking or getting outdoors and enjoying it. And make sure, before I invest all this money in a deer lease or before I invest this money in a hunt or something or fishing, am I going to be able to withstand the conditions? Am I going to be able to sit here and walk all day or stand all day or go this long without, a big meal or whatever? You need to condition yourself for it. Get yourself learning, like, okay, I can make this bottle of water last me 6 hours or whatever. You don't want to get out there and chug the only bottle of water you have in the first 5 minutes, because then you're kind of screwed for the rest of the hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just kind of like basic stuff. I know we're kind of jumping around this podcast, but we're just kind of giving you a bunch of ideas of how you can get into doing outdoor things.
Yeah. So I think you kind of spoke on fishing. I think a good way people can start getting into fishing. So you do need a fishing license in most states, pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's but in Texas, they do this thing called the super combo. So you can get, at least if you're a Texas resident, you can get a hunting license with your fishing license all together.
Yep.
So it's actually cheaper than buying them separate.
That's what I do every year.
Yeah, I haven't done that. I've just been out of the state, so I haven't really had a chance to do either of the things that I really enjoy doing. I haven't been able to do the past couple of years, but
which you can get licensed for a day, a month, or
3 months,
a year
or a year.
Yeah, I recommend a year if you think you're going to at least do it. It saves money in the long run. But if you're just wanting to test the waters and kind of figure it out, you could do a day or a month or whatever.
Yeah, or do I would recommend doing a month, because like you never know, like that, like you get a 1 day, and then like you just have a really bad experience on your first day, then. But like you're like, maybe I want to try it again like next week. Like if you want to go fishing or something like that, and then you get rained out, it sucks. But if you have the month, you can go like the next week if it's supposed to be sunny. So,
and that's the thing with all outdoor activities too, is you can get a guide for any of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You can get a guide for fishing, hunting. I mean, there's guides who take you hiking.
Some guides will, but
I mean, there's like trail guides that are like
yep, you're right. Especially in like the bigger states like Colorado, where like you're hiking up mountains, like actual, like where the change of elevations like a couple thousand feet versus a couple hundred feet. Mm-hmm. You're gonna need somebody to help you navigate that has been in that area, because with your lack of oxygen going up that at certain elevations, you may forget stuff. I actually have a coworker who went to Africa last summer, and he hiked up Mount Kilimanjaro with his I think his sister and some of their friends, and his sister was getting I don't remember
elevation sickness.
Yeah, it was like elevation sickness, but she was like hallucinating and all sorts of stuff, and so basically they had to cut the hike short. I'm pretty sure is what he told me. Like they didn't like. The end of the hike to get to the very top of the peak was like another hour hike. So one person stayed with his sister, and him and like the other guy finished it and then came back down. But he was telling me, he's like, you just need to be prepared for that kind of stuff, because like I don't remember how high Kilimanjaro is. I think it's 11,000 feet. But where we were, it was like maybe 1,500 feet. So there's tons of ways you can prepare for that kind of stuff. But getting back onto fishing, so you need your fishing license to fish any public fishing places, so lakes, rivers. Most of the time, like public ponds, like in cities, you're gonna need something like that. But if you have if you have a piece of property that has like a pond on it, you can stock it with fish and fish it all you want. It doesn't. No, there's not a game warden. There's not a game warden that's gonna come and mess with you about that I know of. So, but I think a good like starting rig to get set up. You can look at like YouTube videos for this kind of stuff. I would recommend getting like a spinning rod with about a 6 foot to like 5'9" foot or 5'9" rod. And getting like some spinning baits, getting some worms, getting some jigs, getting some crawfish baits, swim baits, just like a wide variety of stuff. Because like I think the best thing about fishing is like you can kind of test the waters with any kind of bait, lure, jig.
Test the waters.
Yeah, but it's because like it's not super expensive to get into like certain kinds of baits. Like you get a pack of worms for like $4.
Shoot, I started out fishing on cane pole with worms.
Yeah, like actual like night crawlers.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the worms you get in the foam cups.
Yeah, night crawlers. It's like the blue foam with the dirt. Yeah.
And then a cane pole.
Yeah, I started out with a spinning rod.
Really?
Yeah, and then
I did that redneck shit. Tie a string to the end of a pole, sit there and dangle it off the side of a bridge.
But then you can also go jugging too, though. It's not. It's fishing, but it's not the fishing that you probably think of with like a rod and reel.
It's the same as like setting a trap for a hog or whatever. Yeah. You catch it and then you go out there and you take care of business.
Yeah, but most of the time you're gonna go after catfish with that, so it's not really the same as like the fishing for like bass fishing or crappie fishing. So
God, I can't stop yawning.
You're making me yawn.
Probably making whoever's watching this yawn.
Yeah.
They're probably like, God dang, dude, stop yawning.
But I think a good, and then I think you also need a good backpack, sunscreen especially. Depending on where you're fishing, you might need some like muck boots or water boots. Because if you have
I like muck boots. Muck boots are well worth the money.
Yeah, and then you can always get like a starter pair. I know I've always gotten mine at Academy because I don't want to spend a lot of money on a pair of boots I know I'm going to ruin. I think I've only spent like $50 per pair. That I think I've owned like 3 different pairs over 10 years. So, and then really just finding a place. Like you don't need a boat to catch big fish. You can always
wade fish. You can fish off a pier.
Yeah, you can just walk around a lake and just find a spot. So
yeah, which I think. I mean, I'm not a big fishing guy. I do enjoy fishing. My dad's huge on fishing, but I think my experience fishing off the bank is probably one of the most fun. I mean, it's fun fishing out of a boat. Don't get me wrong, but
because fishing off the boat, you're not always guaranteed a fish. Like sometimes you may be just dead in the water, so you have to go somewhere else. Dead in the water.
Well, I mean, you're not always you're not always guaranteed to fish anywhere.
But. Yeah, but I've always had better luck off of a bank than I have in a boat. But it's also because I don't own a boat. My granddad owns a boat, and so we take his boat out and just take it to spots that he's always gone to. But like 75% of the time there weren't fish there.
Yeah.
So bank fishing is a good way to start, and then cleaning and gutting a fish. It's kind of daunting, but I like fish as a meat. It's very healthy.
Yes, dude. Some crappie.
Crappie's good, and then there's so many different things you can do with it. You can fry it, bake it, grill it.
You sound like you're starting to sound like
who?
Bubba.
Oh, boiled shrimp, grilled shrimp, shrimp gumbo. But
God,
like I think
turn
that
the camera off when I laugh.
But I like growing up, I was very limited hunting, but I always like my family always enjoyed going fishing, like going down to the Texas coast and fishing for redfish and what is that, speckled trout? I think is what's the saltfish trout. So that and then stingray is actually really good if you catch it and cook it right. But I think the biggest fish I've ever caught, it was like a 32-inch redfish. I'll send you a picture of it. Why are you rolling your eyes? I'll send you a picture of it, or I'll post it on, or I'll put a link in the, or not a link. I'll just put it in the video on YouTube so you can kind of see it. It was
that'd be a good thing to put on the social media when we get that going.
Yeah, this picture was when I was like 9 years old, so I'm about 3 foot taller, and the fish it's about the size of my sister in the picture. So, but it's probably one of the biggest fish thing I've ever caught. And then limiting out on any kind of fish in any given day, like especially if you're keeping it, it's a good day. I feel like because you can always freeze it or whatever.
I mean, it's a good day in general when you're outdoors.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't. When I go fishing, I mean, I definitely would rather catch something, but I still enjoy being outside anyways.
But so Craig, you can put your opinion on it, but with a starting out, like a decent starting rig, I say like a 6-foot rod with a spinning reel. What do you think?
Well, it depends on what you're fishing for. If you're fishing for crappie, whites, black bass, catfish.
Let's just say like largemouth bass, because I think that's probably like the most common fish in the country. Except up north, I know they have like a lot of smallmouth, but in Texas, in this area, they have
most people who start out fishing like I did, I think they're fishing for like perch and shit. Is like just going.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about perch fishing, but
I mean, if you're trying to just get started in fishing, you won't spend a whole lot of money. They do make like little just starter rigs. You can go to Academy and get
like
some of the best.
Zepco, like the
Yeah,
Zepco,
like a Zepco.
but like the button reels. They're
Yeah.
they're not great, but they're good. They're good for trying to like they're good for like teaching kids.
The biggest thing about getting into any of this is before you know you're gonna like it or not, is start out cheap. Don't jump off the deep end and buy some expensive stuff, and then you have that buyer's remorse when you turn out you don't like it.
Yeah, like
You know, get a little starting out with the bump. You don't want to start with the bait caster.
no, definitely don't do that.
For those of you who don't know what a bait caster is, it's an open reel. I can't really describe it, but when you go looking at buying rods and reels, you'll understand. But start with something. It's called a push button. It literally has a big old button that you push on there to release the line, let off to stop it. Start something with simple like that, or you could even start with a spin cast. But I'd say start with the push button.
So I think a push button's a good way to like to very begin, but like
Yeah.
if you want something that's like a little bit more advanced, then I'd go spinning. Because you can usually cast a little bit farther. You have better options for baits. So with rods, there's different weights on baits, and like the heavier bait you get, you have to get a different rod that can support without breaking the rod.
Yeah.
And then
Different pound test lines and everything too.
Yeah. There's a lot to get into fishing. Like I think a good way to go about it. I'll throw up a link off of a website of like 2 different setups that I think you should start with. One, it would be the push button, just straight monofilament, like 5-pound line, something like that. Just keep it simple. You're not going to catch giant, monster bass or anything, but you're going to understand how to catch, and then how to, properly see if the fish is legal to keep, and then learning how to release it. Because that is one thing that I got very particular about, was releasing fish so they didn't die. Like, so like,
Yeah.
if a bass or something, they swallow your bait a little bit more than you need it to, and it actually gets in their throat or their gut, you can't just rip it out, because the barb's going to catch everything and kill the fish. There's certain ways you can get the barb out. So yeah.
And that's another thing too with hunting, fishing, whatever.
There's like techniques you might have to learn.
Well, I was gonna say there are laws against, like, on certain animals and fish, and like deer especially, that prohibit you from being able to just kill something and leave the meat.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, say you're deer hunting during deer season, you can't just kill the deer and leave it out in the field. You have to take the meat. You have to harvest the meat if you decide to kill that animal.
Yeah.
Hogs and coyotes are different because they're nuisances, but that's another thing too, is you need to understand is, if you're going to go fishing or if you're going to go hunting, you got to understand that, okay, if I kill this animal, what's the next step? What do I need to do in order to properly take it home and possess it? Which every state has a wildlife division or a fisheries division. Like Texas, we have Texas Park and Wildlife. Go on their website and you can literally look up rules and regulations for hunting, fishing, all that.
Yeah.
There's even rules and regulations on hiking, what parks you can hike and all that kind of stuff. What you can bring from those. If you're at a state park, I can't remember what all it is, but there's like, you can't just go to a state park
and camp.
Find it. Well, like, say you find an arrowhead. For those of you who know what an arrowhead is, like Indian rocks, you can't just take them from a state park.
Yeah, you have to like turn them in to the state park.
Yeah, because it's the state's possession technically, unless you have permission to take them.
Or you have the option to leave it. I would just leave it. I wouldn't go tell anybody. I just leave it. Don't take it. But if somebody figures out that you have it from that state park, it's like a state crime in Texas.
Yeah, I think it's a misdemeanor. I can't remember what.
I think it depends on what it is. Like, yeah. if it's something big enough, I think it's based off of because it's technically theft against the state. I would think that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at a certain price point, I think it can be considered a felony, depending on like what it is exactly.
Yeah, just do your research like everything. I mean, I've repeated that multiple times, but do your research. That's the biggest thing, is because what's also going to dampen your experience is if you go out and you do something wrong or illegal,
And you
then
get
it can put a
arrested for
negative,
it.
yeah, put a negative vibe on your experience in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've covered briefly how to get into hunting, how to get into fishing, how to get into hiking, how to get in outdoors in general. It I like going on YouTube and looking things up. That's the biggest thing I'd recommend for any of this, is going on YouTube and looking up. There's multiple different sources. You can literally just, I mean, majority of our listeners should know. If you listen to our podcast on here, you should know how to operate YouTube. Is just literally go on there, type in how to get into hunting or how to get in fishing, or where can I buy this, or best starting out equipment for hunting or fishing. Multiple different guys. I used to have a YouTube channel that I did some hunting and fishing stuff on. I haven't really posted that. But there's multiple channels out there. I'm trying to remember the one I really like using for like hunting stuff. Can't remember. Most of mine on there right now are all gun stuff.
Yeah, but with fishing though, another thing I think is important. I just thought of it as we were talking about like rules and stuff, and so if you catch a fish that's too small to keep, you have to release it back into the wild or into the water. But it's kind of like what I was talking about a minute ago. Like if that fish swallows the hook so deep to where you can't just pop it out of its lip or whatever. So there's a technique that you can do. It's not as well used with treble hooks. Mostly just like the single aught or like the single sided hooks. You basically cut the line, keep the fish, and then keep like the fish in your hand, and then turn the hook like inside out through its gill, and you can just pull it straight through. It's a little hack for you next time you get in that situation, which I actually learned from YouTube. So, because I had a
there you go again. YouTube is an amazing place to learn.
Yeah,
don't believe everything you see on the internet.
Yeah. And also like when it comes like to reviews and trying to get into it, kind of just you don't have to follow somebody word for word either. You can kind of if you see something that you like, but it's kind of out of your budget. That's another thing too. Set up a budget for yourself. Don't blow the bank unless you absolutely have the money to. Be financially smart with it, because there's good ways to get into this kind of, getting into the outdoors without spending thousands of dollars on equipment, especially whenever you're starting out. So like I think my first fishing and hunting, I think my first hunting rig was like not even rig, it's just a shotgun. I think I bought it for like $250 at Academy. Still have it today. Just got to keep up with it. I think my first fishing rig was like $100. It was just reel rod combo from Cabela's. So I don't think you can find and I still have it. I don't use it as much just because it's a right-handed reel, and I'm right-handed, but I like left-handed reels. I'm kind of a weirdo when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like spinning rods are on the left side.
You talking about the handles on the left side?
Yeah.
You hold the rod with your right hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I do it. I cast with my right hand.
Yeah, so I've used, but I always see people use like if they're right-handed, they'll use the right hand to cast, and then they'll switch hands, and then they'll reel in with their right hand.
Yeah, no, I cast with my right and reel with my left.
Yeah, but that actually came from experience of mine where I was throwing topwater, and I couldn't whenever, and it happened a couple of times where I would throw like a little frog out onto a pond, and then I would do it right quick, but I wouldn't have enough time to it was one time it hit the water and the bass literally jumped out of the water right as it hit, because I guess it hit right on the mark, and my hand wasn't switched over to my left hand to set the hook, and I lost the fish and the bait. Because I didn't tie the knot right. So
my biggest thing getting into fishing was getting hung up on stuff, and then I'd break it off.
Yeah,
that was another learning curve.
Yeah, it is a learning curve, because you a lot of people cast overhand.
Yeah.
With my spinning rod right now, I haven't fished in a while, but with my spinning rod, I would I'd flip it. Yeah, I'm trying to learn how to do that with a bait caster. It's a little bit more difficult with a bait caster.
My dad does it freaking effortlessly, and it annoys me because I've yet to learn how to do it. But he'll sit there and just he'll drop it in the bucket easily.
Yeah,
that's another thing too. Getting in fishing,
and then he can go to a dock and just like flip it, and it skips on the water a little bit.
Yeah, right under it.
Yeah,
that's another thing too. Getting into fishing is learning how to cast. You can do simply just set up a bucket in your yard and just sit there and practice trying to make it in the bucket. Get good at getting that bait where you need it to, or that lure or whatever. And you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And which it's just like shooting or hunting, spending time at the range.
It's like target practice.
Yeah, it's like target practice, but with fishing rod, and you're trying to make it in a bucket.
Yeah.
And which I've never actually practiced. And then we were at a boat show somewhere. That's actually, so you know how I went on that bow fishing trip?
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about that?
I don't think so. Well, I don't think so, but I think I saw a picture of it somewhere.
Yeah, we went on a bow fishing trip, which went terrible for me because I had food poisoning halfway through it. But the way I ended up winning it was at the fishing trip, at the fishing show, I think that was how I won it. They had a little bucket out there, and you had to basically, if you could make it in the bucket, whoever could make it in the bucket first or whatever would win the free bow fishing trip. And I got lucky and made it in the bucket like my first throw. And I've never tried that, and I'm not a good caster at all, but I just happened to have a stroke of luck that day. And it was a fun experience bow fishing. That's another thing you can get into in the outdoors if you're a bow hunter too, is bow fishing. Very enjoyable experience for me until I got food poisoning from Whataburger chicken, actually.
Oh,
yeah. Bad experience.
Now it's an anti-Whataburger commercial.
Yeah. Chicken's always kind of a sketchy thing to get anywhere, but
hell no. You get fried chicken anywhere.
The Bush's chicken.
Bush's is good.
I had Bush's for lunch today.
I had Chicken Express. We don't have Bush's where I am. Kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's knockoff Bush's.
It is. It wasn't near as good. Like, so whenever I came down to visit a couple weeks ago, I was driving through a town and I saw Bush's, and I was like, I haven't had Bush's in like 3 years. So I stopped and I got some. It was gone before I left the parking lot. And I only got like a 3-piece tender because like I was about to go eat anyway. So
every time I get Bush's, it's always sitting in between me and the steering wheel, and I'm just munching on it as I'm driving down the road.
Bush's commercial.
Bush's commercial.
But
yeah, I feel like that's pretty good way to get into all these different activities. Just kind of knowing your setups. If you go back and listen to, I can't remember what episode, we kind of go over like different like rifles to start out with, and then we kind of got into more fishing in this one, and then camping. Cabela's, I'd say if you're trying to decide like a good place, Cabela's can be more expensive if you have one near you. I mean, any outdoor store will work. Just go in there and buy the necessities. Buy you a backpack, buy you camos, or buy you whatever you need. Fishing, you don't need really necessary any kind of special clothing. I definitely recommend the fishing shirts are worth it. The long sleeve, dry fit shirts.
Yeah, that are like, it has like SPF 30 and stuff on it. So you don't have to wear sunscreen. I like the ones with the hoods on it.
Yeah, that's what I have. The one with the hood on it. That's the biggest thing fishing is
you're going to get fried if you don't wear sunscreen.
You won't realize it until you get done. Like that's happened to me multiple times. I'm like, I'm fine. Spend 4 hours out there fishing. I get home and I'm like, holy cow, this hot water does not feel good on my skin.
Yeah. Especially like if you're on a boat, because all the sunlight, it's going to hit you from the sun, and then it bounces off the water. So
you're just getting cooked.
You're not sunburned in just one spot. You're sunburned all over the place.
I had the worst sunburn from fishing
I did too.
Years ago, and I had an archery tournament the next day. And holy cow, that was a terrible experience. I had to have they have these things called frog togs. You ever seen those? I had to have a frog tog duct taped on my arms. Basically, anywhere clothing was touching, I had to have a frog tog taped to me, like taped around me, to keep from like the clothing rubbing on my irritated skin. It was not a fun experience.
Yeah.
And I fish barefoot, especially when I'm in a boat.
Oh yeah.
So my feet were just destroyed.
Like the
sunscreen is definitely a necessity if you're going to fish. You can put that down on your list too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use it hunting because of the smell.
Well,
that's another thing too.
I think some places have like non-scented, but no,
yeah,
so I was saying sunscreen for hunting, but that was mostly towards like dove hunting, because if you're spot and stalking, you're usually fully clothed, like you have the face mask, you have long sleeve stuff, or you're sitting in a blind where the sun's not hitting you. So
yeah, typically when you're hunting, deer hunting, hog hunting, or whatever, you're not really worried about the sun. You're usually covered by something. But
it's mostly for dove hunting because
if you're gonna be in the outdoors in general, I think sunscreen's definitely a necessity.
Yeah, it's true.
As far as like hiking, and because the worst thing about hiking is you go out for a hike, you come home, you get sunburn, your feet hurt, your knees hurt, you're chafing in spots you don't want to be chafing in.
Yeah.
Not a fun combination to have all that going on at the same time.
Yeah, and then for hiking too, you can kind of do it for hunting if you're doing like the spot stalking, is a good pair of shoes, like a good pair of like hiking boots or something that just has like a lot of
a good arch or a good sole to it.
Yeah, just a good sole, and then also snake protection too. Depending on where you're hiking or where you're hunting, you're probably gonna go through some snake country.
I'm a sneaky slither snake.
and you don't know they're there until it's just about too late. So it's depending on where you are. So
yeah, and another thing too. So say for instance you're hiking. Another thing a lot of people don't talk about is cell service is not accessible everywhere. You need some sort of, if you're going to go alone, especially, have some sort of way to communicate with the outside world. Because if you get out there and you're a couple miles away from cell tower or public road, something bad happens. Not saying it's going to, but you always got to prepare for the worst. You need a way to communicate, to contact emergency personnel or
like let
anyone.
And like the least you can do is like let somebody know, like, hey, I'm gonna go hiking this weekend. If you don't hear back from me, like, so if you're leaving Friday afternoon, you're gonna be hiking all day Saturday. You just gotta tell somebody, if you don't hear from me like Saturday by 3:00, try giving me a call. If I don't answer, let somebody know where I went, and then kind of give them like the general location.
Yeah, like that movie. What is that movie?
47 Hours.
Yeah, 47 Hours, where he got stuck in that rock. Yeah, situations like that are the ones you want to avoid.
Which they happen a lot more. They're just not televised or public as much. So you do have to keep that in mind. It's just not even just for hiking; it's for everything too. So
even your everyday life, you just always have some sort of way to communicate with someone.
Yeah,
communication. I mean, you have your phones, but like I said, without a cell tower, it's kind of useless.
But they also do have like satellite phones, stuff like that. They do get kind of pricey, but you never know, it could save your life one day.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, what we did before. I mean, I act like I'm real old, but before we really like phones were like a huge thing, because we kind of grew up in the age of phones were becoming a norm.
Yeah,
we were kind of like.
I remember the first iPhone coming out.
Yeah, I remember the first iPhone coming out. I remember paying per text. Well, I didn't pay. My parents did when I was little. Like, they had phones and it cost like 10 cents a text.
Yeah.
But back then we would use walkie-talkies. Like, I mean, we even use walkie-talkies at the deer lease right now because we don't have good cell service. But that goes back to having a good way to communicate. Is, my grandpa goes out there hunting and stuff, and if something bad were to happen, we need some way to communicate. So walkie-talkies are a good way to communicate. Anything that can get someone's attention. I mean, have some sort of source of fire is a good backup too. If it's flint and steel, you can buy lighters anywhere, and then something.
Yeah, and that's kind of like another thing too. Is like, if you're going hiking, just make it easy on yourself. Like, bring a lighter or sorry, bring like your flint and steel, but also bring a lighter, because like you know, like the flint and steel should be the backup. They shouldn't be the primary.
Yeah, don't solely rely on flint and steel.
Yeah, like yes, it's tried and true. It's been done forever, but why make it hard on yourself? Like when you're trying to enjoy it, because if if wood's wet and it's hard to get good ember with flint and steel, it's gonna be a rough time if you don't have a fire. So,
but yeah, if you say you're hiking, you fall, break a leg, don't have cell service, you start a fire. Going to catch someone's attention when they're like, "Oh, damn, that forest is on fire over there." Why is there smoke coming from over there? It'll catch someone's attention eventually, and hopefully save your life.
Yep, smoke signals. Yep. But with one thing that a lot of people I feel like don't understand about being in the outdoors is just being safe, because like there's always somebody that's going to be needing you after your adventure. So I think some news for our podcast. We are starting a Facebook and Instagram to try and get some social medias going. And
I'm still fighting for TikTok.
We can get a TikTok. I've never said no to TikTok. We never talked about TikTok. We can get a TikTok if you want.
Probably won't be posting a whole lot to TikTok, but
I think there's already a TikTok. I'm pretty sure there is, because whenever I try to share TikToks, I always see H&H Awakening on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. I haven't started a TikTok.
I'll send you a screenshot later. But
okay.
So if there's an H&H Awakening podcast already out there, okay. Well, we find another name.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're starting Facebook and Instagram. Instagram is probably where we're going to be doing a lot of like contests and stuff like that. So I know we have plans, at least for our YouTube channel. We'll probably have something similar on Instagram. We haven't really talked about it as much, but I think like at 100 followers or 1,000 followers, I can't remember which one it was. Is it 1,000 or 100?
See, I have it on here. Well, we were talking about
basically giving back. It was a 500.
Yeah, start giving back. Yeah, so right now our goal is 500 is where we were talking about starting. So we want to try to get more and more content out to you guys. We love doing this. We're becoming more invested in it than we thought we would. We didn't think it was going to get this much attention starting out. So right now our goal is to hit 100 subscribers, followers, whatever. So hitting that shows support. Definitely helps. Leave, like we always say, leave comments down below. We love seeing y'all interact. We want to be a very engaging podcast or source of media. We want to engage with you guys listening. So feel free to leave some sort of mark that we can know you're here. But yeah, we're definitely, we've been starting to think of different goals. Like you were saying, 1,000 followers. When we get to that point in the future, we're going to start doing giveaways and everything that we're planning out. But at 500 right now, our goal is 100. But if we hit 500 followers or subscribers, we're looking at starting another source to where basically we'll be able to bring bonus episodes to y'all, start uploading more often. Just extra content. We may have like more engaging content, such as range days footage or our builds, like just breakdowns of each build. That kind of thing. Is
especially when it comes down to the YouTube side, because they're not super supportive of certain things that we're looking at doing. You know, like possibly building an AR together or something like that. Which
our goal eventually is to hopefully bring one of you guys down, or guys or girls, whoever, bring you down and or out here and maybe have like a range day. We want to get to the point where we can have more engagement in activities with y'all. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, hunting, fishing, hiking, maybe. So
yeah. And I don't want to act like we're like some big shots, but the point of us doing that is to help people get into outdoor activities more. You know, by then we'll hopefully be more sustainable or more established to where we can start help giving back to you guys. like for instance, I was telling Hunter the other day, this guy in the Bushes drive-thru was telling me about how he's wanting to get into deer hunting, and we want to get to a point where we can eventually give back to y'all, to where we can take people out like that who are wanting to get into deer hunting or fishing or shooting. We can take them out and give them that experience at a lower cost than them going out by themselves, and they can kind of see if they like it.
And then like the giveaways, like, you know, like our kind of plan, like we talked about this earlier this week, was kind of like what do we want to give back? So like obviously, like if we don't, like, we're gonna start off kind of small, you know, doing like, you know, gift cards or stuff like that to like Cabela's Academy, anywhere like that, and then
free selfie from Hunter
from you. Did you just wink?
Yeah.
But then, like, as we grow, as kind of he was explaining, like, we're gonna start doing like range days and stuff, and bringing people out and actually getting people exposure to things too. So, and you know, if you're from out of Texas, you know, possibly fly you in for a range day or a fishing day or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
like we said, is the whole point of our podcast, is this whole thing being even existing, is to encourage and help people get into the outdoors, because we're kind of going slowly. And I mean, me and Hunter are both guilty of it. I mean, technology is great, but we have to remember where we started, you know, as humans, is in the outdoors, and why we still have it here, and why conservation and Texas Park Wildlife and all these, why it's so important that we preserve this kind of stuff. That's just bringing awareness. You know, we call it H&H awakening, because an awakening is to become aware or to understand something, I guess you could say. So that's what we're trying to do, is just kind of,
it's way more symbolic than just the name.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if we've ever gone behind that, like actually explained it. H&H, of course, is Hunter and Hunter, and then awakening is just kind of like to become aware. So we're trying to just bring more awareness to how important the outdoors is, because I mean, there's plenty of outdoor channels out here, and it shows amazing content, but no one ever really solely focuses on why it's so important and why we're out here. I feel, I mean, there's definitely people out there that do that, but I feel like there needs to be more focus on why it's important that we do what we do and we stand up for what we do. I mean, there's a reason so many people fight to keep this right to hunt and fish and everything. It's a very enjoyable thing to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, that's our plans in the future. Still staying on the schedule every Monday. Like I said before, leave a like, follow, subscribe, whatever platform you're looking on, however you can show us love and support. Leave comments if you can.
Recommendations about what you want to hear from us.
Yeah, if you want even something as simple as like, hey, I'm just wanting to buy a 22 to shoot squirrels because they're getting in my garden, you know, we'll talk to you however long you want to about what 22 work best, you know, what.
Yeah. Or a pellet gun may be better for whatever you're trying to do. Yeah, or
pellet gun. Yeah. Even something simple as pellet gun, or, you know, hey, I'm wanting to get my kid, you know, a pellet gun or a BB gun. I mean, we can talk about that. Whatever you want to talk about in the outdoors, we'll talk to you about it and discuss it, give our 2 cents on it. You know, we're not the smartest people in this industry. We're not the most all-knowing, but I feel like we know enough.
But we live and learn, though, too.
Yeah, you live and learn.
Yeah, like there's you know, times when I've gone hunting when I didn't need to bring, you know, a quarter of what I brought, so I leave it at home now. So
yeah, and we're not trying to be salesmen either. That's the thing I want to kind of do with this podcast too, is get y'all to understand is we're just your average Joe, blue collar type of guys. You know, we want y'all, because you know a lot of the media sources right now of outdoor stuff is, you know, these kind of people who have everything given to them, which I mean, it'd be nice to get to that point, but
but we're gonna be always honest and truthful about you know, stuff. So like
we want to be more relatable.
Yeah, like if somebody like sends us a gun to review or fishing gear to review or something like that, we're gonna, you know, be honest about it. Like we're not gonna be up like sold out unless it's enough money.
Yeah, but no, we want to give you our honest opinion, and you know, because I know that's the biggest thing is you look up reviews online and they tell you it's the best thing to touch this earth since freaking whatever, and then you get it yourself, and you're like, hey, this is not what he described.
Exactly.
We want y'all to be able to come to us, and we give you our God honest truth of how we feel about it. If we think we're not here to dog things out, but we're not here to also, stand on a soapbox and tell you how great it is and lie to you.
And like every company that we have brought up on most topics is like stuff that we just personally have and that we enjoy using. So it's not that we know that, like, I know that there's other brands for like AR stuff, for example. But with the stuff that I talk about is like I talk about Aero Precision a lot. That's just because I own like 4 of their lowers, and I own like 2 of like their full builds. And I'm like, I'm gonna talk good about them because I've never had issues with them.
Yeah.
So,
and that's how I feel about me is like I'm more of your. So a lot of the stuff I do is more of your like budget or cheap way out. Not necessarily cheap way out. I spend good money on certain parts, but a lot of the review channels, it's crazy expensive stuff that they all have. Like Demolition Ranch is an amazing channel, but like a lot of his stuff's really expensive. So then I feel like what I want to do with this channel is kind of be your source of like, here's a little bit cheaper or easier way you could do what he's doing, and kind of get into that stuff.
Instead of this Barrett 50, get this other 50 cal.
Instead of this Barrett 50 cal, it cost you $9,000. Here's your
other
Joe
50
Bob
cal
outfit.
that costs $5,000.
Yeah, you may need to shoot it behind a 5-inch brick wall with your eyes closed, but hey, you got a 50 cal rifle. But yeah, that's the thing, guys. Is just we're not trying to be some serious review, straightforward lie to you thing, but we want y'all to have fun.
If we ever get to the point that we are reviewing products either sent to us or products that we just want to review, like if we find something that we actually enjoy using a lot and we want to we just want to put our word out there about it, might as well just make a quick review about it. So
yeah.
Which there's another thing we were talking about too, is having like a separate, I wouldn't say podcast, but like another video at on like Fridays and stuff. Kind of doing like a quick product review, like a 10-minute review on something.
That'd be part of the separate thing we're talking about.
Yeah. But I think if that's something y'all are interested in, just let us know. We'll start pumping stuff out, because I got a lot of stuff that I would like to put my word on, but I just don't know if anybody really wants to listen to me talk about a certain pistol that I just absolutely can't stand right now. So
yeah, that'd be something we for bonus content and stuff we'd be able to put out there. So if that's definitely something y'all be interested in, let us know. It's an idea that we're throwing around right now. So yeah, a lot of stuff coming. Still planning big. This is only episode number 5. Is it number 5 or is it number 6?
5.
It is 5.
Yeah.
They're all kind of so many episodes. They're all just kind of blending together. Oh my god! But yeah, I think that's it for today. For this episode, but I feel like we're going good. We got y'all behind us, and we definitely appreciate y'all. So with that, I have to say,
and we're starting off really heavy too.
Yeah,
like our SHOT Show video. It just kind of just blew up. It might have been because of the name, but it did really well for some reason. And so we're testing it out. So like most of our YouTube videos, they're all, just our Discord with our names on it. The reason why we're doing face cam is because we noticed the trend of, we got more views when we showed our face. So that's kind of what we're testing out here.
Yeah. So if you like our faces, let us know. If you don't want us to ever show our face again, let us know.
Me. I wear a balaclava.
Yeah. Just put a trash bag over your face from now on.
Make sure you take some deep, deep breaths too while you're in there.
Yeah. Do some ASMR on the next episode.
Maybe. All right.
But all right, guys. Well, we'll let you all go to bed, or whatever you're doing.
Have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day. But like always, stay safe, stay active, and enjoy the outdoors. it.